You're listening to Police, the podcast from the Police Federation of England and Wales. To find out more, visit polfed.org. You can listen and download our podcasts via most podcast platforms. Simply search for Police, the podcast from the Police Federation of England and Wales.
Welcome to Police, the podcast from the Police Federation of England and Wales. My name is Mel Warnes and I'm a National Board Member for the Police Federation, as I'm currently covering some work in the Secretary's Office, which includes pensions. In today's episode, we're going to take a deep dive into the most frequently asked questions on topics on police pensions. Today we are joined by Paul Turpin. He is the Police Federation's Senior Pensions Advisor. Paul, welcome to the podcast. Please can you tell us a bit about your work for the Police Fed?
Thanks, Mel. As you say, I'm Paul Turpin, and I've been employed by the Federation in different guises around pension since 2016, and I now focus on pension policy, which is mainly tied up with the remedy. I also deal with pension inquiries regarding all aspects of the police pension schemes and deal with ill health retirement and injury on duty awards, which often lead to representing officers at police medical appeal boards.
Thanks for that, Paul. So some of these questions are the most frequently asked questions on pensions, but all of the up-to-date information can be found on the pensions page on our website at polfed.org and click on the support tab. So let's get started. Let's talk about pension exit points. Paul, please can you tell us what the exit points are and for the three pension schemes, the 1987, 2006 and latterly the 2015 care scheme?
Before we start, Mel, just to confirm that anything that we discussed today or anything that's mentioned today is not financial advice. And if officers need any financial advice, information regarding the pension, then they should seek independent financial advice. Members now need to know their exit points, and these are different depending on the scheme or schemes that they are in. If a member joined after the 1st of April 2015, then they are solely in the 2015 scheme. This is a normal pension age of 60. It also has a normal minimum pension age of 55. If a member leaves at 55, the pension is actually reduced by around 22%. That reduction reduces the closer an officer gets to 60, when it is 0. If an officer works beyond 60, there is an actual uplift of around 4% a year. There is no opportunity to take any benefit from the 2015 scheme before 55, other than through ill health retirement. The 2006 scheme was a 35-year scheme. The earliest date that an officer can take an immediate benefit from the scheme is at 55. There again is no opportunity to take a benefit before 55 unless through ill health retirement. The 1987 scheme was a 30-year scheme and its exit points are slightly more complicated. Members can take the 1987 portion of the pension immediately at 50 with over 25 years pensionable service. The commutation will be capped at 2.25 times the gross pension, with a higher residual pension if over 50 and not yet aged 55. At 30 years pensionable service across the schemes, a member can take the 1987 portion of the pension at any age with the full commutation factors available. 55 is a bit complicated, but at 55 a member can take the 1987 pension with full commutation factors with any service if they are a Chief Superintendent and below in the Met or a PC and PS in the counties. Inspectors and above in the counties need to be 60 for the same provisions to apply. However, if those officers reach 30 years pensionable service before 60, then they have access to the full commutation factors then. The county inspector rule comes up more than you would imagine, and it is an important one for those who are thinking about getting promoted if they are in the counties.
That's great, thank you. Paul, please can you explain the commutation for all three schemes?
The three schemes have different provisions for the commutation that can be taken at retirement. I will deal with the schemes in reverse order. For the 2015 scheme, a member can commute the maximum of 35.7% of the pension at the rate of £12 for every pound commuted. This is a flat rate and there is no tax implication on taking the maximum lump sum. Whatever commutation you take from the 2015 scheme, it's always at £12 for every pound commuted. A member can choose a specific amount of commutation between 0 and the maximum lump sum and receive a different residual pension if they do so. They can also take no commutation at all. The 2006 pension has an automatic commutation built into the scheme of 4 times the gross pension. This does not have to be taken, and the whole amount or a chosen amount can be given up to increase the amount of pension, of annual pension. The factors used for this are on the PFEW pension update website under the 2006 toll. Again, there is no tax implication for the 2006 commutation. I've left the 1987 scheme to last because, it's the most complex in terms of commutation. Once a member reaches a milestone where the full commutation factors are available, then they can take 25% of the gross pension using the applicable age factor at retirement. The commutation factors are again on the PFEW pension website under the update section. These factors are revised periodically by the Government Actuaries Department. The last change was on the 3rd of April 2023, when the factors increased by around 10%. No one knows when the next change will be, and the last change was announced and published on the same day. The commutation factors drop each month from 48 years and 6 months of age. The drop will not be noticed in monetary terms due to weighted accrual and pay rises. There are 4 options with the 1987 commutation. You can take no commutation and just take the gross pension. You can take the maximum lump sum, the 25%, the maximum lump sum. If you're younger than 62 years and 2 months, then that triggers an unauthorised tax charge to the scheme, as it breaches the HMRC rules around commutation. Although this is a scheme charge, this is passed on to members. It is not personal taxation. The closer a member gets to 62 years and 2 months, the smaller the tax charge. The authorised or the unauthorised tax charge and the lifetime allowance, maximum tax-free allowance for commutation should not be confused. They are 2 separate taxation issues. The third option is to take the maximum tax-free lump sum and then avoid the unauthorised tax charge and have a higher residual pension. Officers will be taxed on that higher residual pension, so there'll be taxation one way or another. The last option is to take an amount of the officer's choosing between 0 and the maximum lump sum and a commensurate residual pension depending on the commutation taken. When you get to retirement and you get your option forms, not all of those options will be shown on forced retirement forms. Members who retire now will have 2 schemes, and the option regarding commutation are numerous, as you can take from one and not from the other, take from both, or take from neither. The choice is yours, and do not be fobbed off by forcing telling you otherwise.
Thanks, Paul. Some officers worry that beyond 30 years service, their pension and commutation will decrease. Can you tell us about that? Let's bust that myth today.
There is now only one active police pension scheme, and this has been the case since the 1st of April 2022, and that is the 2015 police pension scheme. Although the 1987 and 2000 schemes are closed, that does not mean that they do not continue to grow, as they are both final salary schemes. The 1987 pension will grow with pay rises, promotion and weighted accrual up to 30 years pensionable service, and after that by pay rises and promotion. With the 2006 scheme, there is no weighted accrual, so that pension grows with pay rises and promotions alone. But they both still grow until the officer retires, because it's a final salary scheme. Therefore, the pension will never drop and will continue to increase with pay rises and promotion. The commutation factors for the 1987 pension will continue to drop, but if pay rises are above 1.5%, then there will be no drop in the commutation. There may be other reasons for leaving, but the pension dropping is not one of them. Members also need to factor in the growth in the 2015 pension while they continue to be in service.
Thanks for that. That's really helpful. Please can you tell us about deferment for all of the 3 pension schemes?
If a member does not reach the age to take an immediate benefit from a scheme, then their pension or pensions become deferred, and there are different deferment rules across the schemes. In the 1987 scheme, if a member leaves the scheme before 25 years pensionable service and before the age of 55, the pension is deferred to 60. If they have 25 years pensionable service when they leave but are not yet 50, then it will be deferred to 50. A lot of officers are now leaving before the age of 50 with 25 years service or more and are taking the pension at 50. In the 2006 scheme, if a member leaves the scheme before age 55, then the pension is deferred to 65. There is an opportunity to take the pension at 55, but with a close to 50% actual reduction. In the 2015 scheme, If a member leaves the scheme before 55, then the pension is deferred to their state pension age, 67 or 68, depending on their date of birth. There is an opportunity to take the pension at 55, but with a close to 50% actual reduction. This will be the case for a member in the 1987 scheme who retires before 55 with an immediate benefit from the 1987 scheme, but who's unable to take an immediate benefit from the 2015 scheme, as they had not yet reached age 55. That pension for the 2015 scheme will be deferred to their state pension age, with the opportunity to take it at 55, but with a close to 50% actual reduction. If a member opts out of the 2015 scheme and they have not yet reached an immediate benefit milestone of the 1987 or 2006 schemes, then both pensions are deferred. A member can opt out of the 2015 scheme once they have reached a milestone of the 1987 scheme, but independent financial advice is recommended before doing so. There is an anomaly with the 2015 scheme. If a member chooses not to take their pension retired at age 55 or above, it's deferred to their state pension age, and thus the bigger actual reduction is in play. This is something that is being looked at by the Home Office along with the Federation. There's a working group on it.
Let's talk about something none of us want to speak about, but it is an important topic for people to know should it happen. Survivor benefits when there has been a death in service.
As we discussed, all active members of the police pension scheme are now in the 2015 scheme. The death in service payment is 3 times the average pension will pay for the 2015 scheme. There is a hierarchy of payment. In the first instance, it will be paid to a member's surviving spouse or civil partner. And if there is no such person, then a declared partner. If there's not a declared partner, then it would be paid to a person nominated by the officer. And finally, if none of the above apply, the executor of the will to form part of the estate. Nomination forms for the death in service payment and partner declaration forms can be obtained from the Pension Administrative Force. They are easy to complete and easy to get hold of. There are different provisions for the different schemes, and it is important that members are aware of all the differences, as although this is not a great subject to discuss, it will come to us all. The 1987 pension only pays survivor benefits to a spouse or civil partner. A member needs to be married or in a civil partnership at the time of their death for a survivor pension of 50% to be payable. Post-retirement marriages and civil partnerships attract survivor benefits, but only for service post-6th of April 1978. That now only affects retired members, really. Any active members not going to be working before 6th of April 1978. There is a 13-week uplift for pension and pay for death in service if an officer was ever on the 1987 scheme. This has only been recently put back into practice, so make sure that your dependents are aware that there is a 13-week uplift of the 1987 pension. A survivor pension is 50% of the member's gross pension, even if they commuted part of their pension. That is the same across all 3 schemes. Retired officers need to check their position with their pension administrators, as there were different provisions for widowers, which do not apply now, but it could apply to their pension, depending on when they served. The 1987 Members Guide also gives details. The 1987 Members Guide is available on the PFEW Pension Update website. 1987 survivor pensions are not lifelong and will be withdrawn if the survivor cohabits or remarries. They will become payable again if the cohabitation ceases or if the survivor is no longer married. The 2006 and the 2015 pensions additionally have the ability to declare a partner to receive a survivor benefit of 50% of the pension. Refer to the 2015 and 2006 member guides to see the criteria for declared partner. Both member guides are available on the PFEW Update website. 2006 and 2015 survivor pensions are lifelong and not affected by cohabitation or remarriage. Children have survivor pension provision in their own right. There are a number of nuances, so it's worth checking the relevant member guide to get the exact details. Generally, a pension is payable until a child's 19th birthday, but that can be extended to their 23rd birthday if they're in full-time education, and for life if the child is disabled and financially dependent on their parents. For the 1987 scheme, it's 18.75% of the pension per child, with a maximum of 2 children being paid for. So if there are 3 children, only 37.5% of the pension is paid to the children. For the 2006 and 2015 schemes, it is the same provision, but the percentage paid is 25% of the pension, and the maximum paid 50% of the pension.
Thank you. Let's speak about the legacy schemes now. Tell us about the final salary aspect within them.
As you can see from the previous answers, there is a common trait here that there are different ways of calculating the final salary for the 1987 and 2006 schemes, the final salary schemes. The 2015 scheme is not a final salary scheme, it's a career average scheme, but there are occasions when the final pay is needed, such as at ill health retirement. The Members Guide gives details about how the final pay is calculated for the 2015 if that is needed, but it's not a normal situation because it's a career average scheme. For the 1987 scheme, the salary used for calculating the pension is the average pensionable pay working back for a year from the date of retirement, and then the previous 2 years are considered, and the best of those 3 years is used to calculate the pension. For example, today is the 6th of November, it is now when I'm recording it, and if a member was retiring today, then the following dates will be considered. They would go back 3 years. The first year they would go back would be the 7th of November 2023 to the 6th of November 2024. They would then look at the 7th of November 2022 to the 6th of November 2023, and the 7th of November 2021 to the 6th of November 2022. And then the highest of those 3 years will be used to calculate the pension. Ordinarily, only a period of temporary salary or promotion would see use for anything but the final year. This is why a member needs to do a year at a pay point or a pay rise to get the full benefit of the rise reflected in their 1987 or 2006 pension, because the average pensionable pay is a backward-looking calculation. There are different provisions to calculate the final pensionable pay for the 2006 scheme, and due to recent high inflation, this could see a member have a better position than the final year calculation. It is quite complex, but it's important that it's calculated correctly. Regulation 24 of the Police Pension Regulations 2006 deals with the final salary calculation, and the regulation that deals with it is 24(1). Have a look at 24(1), but don't get too held up by it. So basically what happens is 24(1)A deals with the final salary working a year back from the day of retirement, so having a look at the final salary year. 24(1)B looks back that previous 2 years as it would have done in 1987, so they look at the 2 years, but the difference here is the chosen year can be uprated with pension increases from the end of the chosen year to retirement, so that has a look at the inflation. 24(1)C looks back a further 7 years, and an average of any 3 years can be taken and then increased with pension increases from the end of the 3 chosen years to retirement. The highest of the above three calculations should be used for the calculation of the 2006 pension. Just to put some context in it, I had a recent example where a PC had a final salary £1,500 more than the final year due to the average of any 3 years being used and the pension increases being applied. So that's where the recent high inflation has had an effect on the average pensionable pay for the 2006 pension.
And what about promotion and the legacy schemes?
We're often asked, is it worth getting promoted? And obviously we can't answer that, but all three pensions will be positively affected by the increased salary. The 1987 and 2006 pensions will be increased due to the pensions being calculated using the final salary at retirement, and the 2015 as more has been put into the pot each month with the higher salary from promotion.
And finally, what about changing part-time hours and the legacy scheme?
The simple answer is no, as the final salary schemes will be calculated using the pension accrued when you left that scheme and then use the full-time equivalent salary at retirement. So going part-time now or going full-time now from part-time will not affect your legacy scheme pension. Any change to part-time hours now will only affect the 2015 pension.
Paul, please can you explain about joining the 2015 scheme and the ill health retirement benefits?
Members who joined the 2015 scheme since 2023 should not have been asked to complete a medical questionnaire or attend a medical assessment. This was not the case before that. Regulation 36 of the Police Pension Regulations 2015 allowed forces to assess officers medically to see whether ill health retirement benefits should be payable. And they did exclude some officers from ill health retirement benefits. That provision of the Police Pension Regulations has been found to be unlawful and it needs to be rewritten. The Home Office are now rewriting that, so as I say, nobody from 2023 onwards should be getting assessed or asked to do a medical questionnaire. And the Home Office are now rewriting the Regulation 36 provisions, and that will now deal with members who have already been affected. So anybody who's been affected hang fire, and hopefully there'll be something in the near future about how that will be dealt with, how your position will be dealt with.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Paul. Is it right that career breaks are not qualifying service?
Career breaks are not pensionable service. They are an extended period of unpaid leave. They do not count as qualified service or reckonable service. However, a member is still a notional member of the pension scheme whilst on the career break for death in service provisions and for ill health retirement provisions.
As there is no compulsory retirement date now, could you tell us what is the accrual uplift beyond 60 years of age?
If an officer works beyond 60, there is an actual uplift of around 4% a year. There is no compulsory retirement age for the police pension anymore, so officers can work beyond 60 without asking for extensions.
Please can you explain what weighted accrual is?
The 1987 pension used to attract accrual at 1/60th of the average pensionable pay of a member for years 1 to 20, and then 2/60ths between 20 and 30, giving a maximum of 40/60ths, 2/3 accrual of final salary, which is how the pension would be calculated. And also that was the maximum that could be accrued. As a concession, when the pension changed, the government brought in weighted accrual to calculate the 1987 pension as compensation for the loss of double accrual. There was an explanation and table of factors using the 2015 Members Guide and also on the PFPW Pension Update website. Practical application: if a member works 30 years or more pensionable across the schemes, then their 1987 pension will be calculated as the reckonable service when they left the 1987 scheme, divided by 45. The factors increase the less pensionable service that a member has across the schemes. At 25 years pensionable service across the schemes, the 1980 pension will be divided by 50.
Paul, what is the calculation of average pensionable pay, and what is included in average pensionable pay?
As we saw earlier with final salary, average pensionable pay is a backward-looking calculation. Pensionable pay is basic pay, London weighting and temporary salary, and additional hours for part-time officers. Overtime is not pensionable. South East allowance is not pensionable. House allowance is not pensionable. It's just those things above: basic pay, London weighting, temporary salary, and additional hours for part-time officers.
Please tell us about added pension into the 2015 scheme.
If a member wants to make added pension contributions to the 2015 scheme, they should contact their pension administrators, who will provide details. Independent financial advice will be prudent before making a long-term financial commitment.
Oh, that's great, Paul, and thanks for all of that information, and thanks ever so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thanks, Mel.
If you still need further help or support, then direct your questions to your local branch, and don't forget the support tab on polfed.org. And thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks very much for listening. To find out more, visit polfed.org or email podcast@polfed.org. This podcast is brought to you by the Police Federation of England and Wales. Have your say. Contact us via most social media platforms. Simply search for Police Federation of England and Wales. If there's an issue you'd like us to feature, then email us via podcast@polfed.org.